It has been 8 days since a Surat court sentenced Congress leader Rahul Gandhi to 2-year imprisonment in a defamation case. Since then, Rahul Gandhi has been disqualified as Member of Parliament in the Lok Sabha and given notice to leave his official residence that he's occupied for the last 19 years. The Congress has rallied around its leaders with press conferences and statements, but no legal response yet. Why is it that a party known to be packed with legal eagles has not acted yet? What is the game plan? And is the action against Rahul Gandhi turning into a political windfall for the Congress? To speak on this and more, I'm joined now by Abhishek Manu Singhvi, top lawyer, Congress leader and member of the Rajya Sabha. Mr. Singhvi, thank you so much for speaking with us here at Mirror Now. Let me begin with the question I have posed in my introduction. Why has there been no action yet from a party, one would say, blessed with so many great legal minds, including yours? It's been quite some time and no response to this Surat court order. We first heard that it was taking time to translate from Gujarati. Surely that's done by now?
Tamanna, 8 days might seem a long time, and it is perhaps a long time in politics. It's not necessarily a long time in law or in filing an appeal. So first, let me answer a narrower question. The appeal is in the process of being filed. It shall be filed. It will be filed very, very, very shortly, and it will be listed in the court before perhaps you have other programs on this topic. 8 days, part of it is no doubt taken in the Gujarati translation. Part of it is taken in the fact that evidence, to the extent it is there, also has to be translated. The pleadings have to be translated. It's not only the judgment, pleadings, and then the person concerned who's moving it in the sessions court, which is the lower court, would have to draft. So there are 4 steps, and although you could have lopped off a day or two here and there, I think the amount of speculation about it is wholly out of proportion. In fact, to tell you the truth, I'm quite amused by the conspiracy theories floating around, by the maternal care and concern with which people are asking this question about appeal. For example, one of the theories is that the Congress is out to hurt Sri Rahul Gandhi by not allowing an appeal to be filed. Another beautiful conspiracy theory is that this is to endlessly get a sympathy vote. A third conspiracy theory is that it is to keep the matter in limbo and wait to see what happens and to actually induce incarceration. Well, all of these are lovely, they would be qualifying as possibly award-winning fictional novels and stories, but they don't make for an effective narrative. The only thing relevant is a stay of conviction. A stay of conviction alone is the focus. The stay of conviction cannot be got without an appeal. A few days delay here and there in 8 days is less than a blip in the process of filing any appeal. The stay of conviction, therefore, being the focus, you will have to have the appeal very shortly and to be moved. All I can say is that we are touched by the concern shown by so many people giving us unsolicited advice.
Okay.
Speculating and coming
so advice. So, Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, some of the context for this concern, advice, observations, conspiracy theory is also the speed with which other events have unfolded. The Congress has, in fact, described it that at the speed of a bullet train. So, Mr. Rahul Gandhi gets convicted, then he gets disqualified, then he gets, an eviction notice for his home, or, said you have to vacate. All happens in 5 days. So, it is that context as well. If you're seeing this as a political war and not just legal process, then the other side is moving very, very fast. What's happening here?
That actually makes my point, Tamanna. Try as you might, there is no way in which you could file an appeal which is proper, effective. The same people who are giving grand unsolicited advice would say this is a uselessly filed appeal, not a good appeal, if it's filed in a clumsy manner. Try as you might, you cannot outdo the speed with which a disqualification was premeditated. And technically, I agree entirely. They can issue disqualification because there is no stay. But the speed with which it's done could not have been matched by the speed of filing an effective appeal. So why bother? The moment we get a stay of conviction, the disqualification goes. So we should file an effective appeal and not be bothered about these bullet train initiatives by the government and by the authorities, which actually betray a clear biased attitude. And also, of course, in the practical sense, even when Parliament was on, Rahul Gandhi was continuously and repeatedly excluded. He goes abroad and he's threatened that unless he first apologizes, he can't speak in Parliament. He speaks in Parliament and he's threatened to be thrown into the Privileges Committee. He goes out and he said that, look, unless you apologize, you will not be allowed to speak. So I don't think he's had much of a miss in Parliament. And now the session is all but over. And therefore, I think it's more important to file a well-drafted appeal by whoever is going to be moving it to that person's satisfaction, rather than looking over the shoulder to see how fast that bullet will be fired, because that bullet is going to be fired in a biased manner, in an extraordinarily hurried manner, in a one-sided manner, including the vacation of house thing. And they're all consequential, and I don't grudge them doing it. But equally, I want to make the point that while there is no bar to the disqualification, there is no bar of stoppage to the house vacation notice, so long as Rahul Gandhi doesn't get a stay of conviction, it also shows a complete callousness and vendetta attitude. The law does not say that you have to issue a disqualification within 2-3 days. It does not say you have to issue eviction within 5 days. And I think that is the political message which is more important than us scrambling to file a clumsy appeal.
Mr. Manu Singhvi, that there will be an appeal before we have a chance to do another show on this. So should I take that, looking at the news cycles, that we'll see something by Monday?
Well, I'm not here to reveal to you internal strategy, only to assure to you that the moment the focus is stay of conviction, right, there is no alternative except an appeal. And therefore, all the leading lawyers, all the leading journalists, some of them embarrassingly so-called, who are advising us on channels that this should be the way to do it. Somebody proclaimed that I'd file an appeal on the same day. I don't think they know the process. Yes, we might have taken a day or two extra, and there are holidays now. But barring those 2-3 days extra, as I said, 8 days or 10 days is but a blip on the legal side. It might be a long, long time in politics.
Okay. I want to come to another point on the legal side of it, Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, and I'm going back to what you said at your press conference after these events folded. You've said this in the public domain as well, where you say, and I quote, after a hiatus of 11 months on 16th Feb 2023, the complainant seeking a vacation on the stay he obtained, he pleads sufficient evidence has come on record of the trial court in the pendency of the present matter, delays the trial, but no new evidence has come. The High Court vacates the stay order and we get this judgment. In this time, the magistrate has changed. What exactly were you trying to allude to, sir? Are you alluding to legal mischief over here? Because it's a loaded statement that in this interim, the magistrate has changed.
I am only stating facts, details, data, dates. The conclusion is there for all to see. But let me summarize it one by one. Before we come to the very specific point you're making, there are bloomers and blunders in this judgment. The very imposition of the maximum punishment of 2 years for an alleged first-time offender in a defamation case is unheard of. Anybody who knows ABC of law either will search hard to find a conviction at all, but where there is a conviction, 1 month, maximum 3 months, and in extreme bizarre cases, 6 months. I have never heard of an alleged first-time offender getting 2 years. My knowledge, my experience may be limited, but you can go and ask expert criminal lawyers. Second, the judge knows that this is an event happening in Kolar. The law was amended by Parliament to mandatorily require that matters such as this, if they land up outside the Kolar region, would require the relevant magistrate to make an inquiry as to whether he has jurisdiction. Not done. not done despite the pendency from 2019 to 23. Third, the sentence itself is very interesting and deliberately distorted to make this complaint maintainable. And I'll try to be as simple and non-technical as possible for your viewers. The sentence says, I'm surprised A, B, and C, all thieves, how come they have the surname so-and-so? That's the exact sentence. It does not say that all people with that surname are thieves. Secondly, A, B, and C are named. None of them is a complainant. None of them is a complainant, I repeat. Under defamation law, only those people can be complainants who show that they are aggrieved, hurt, hit. And therefore, because they know that otherwise the complaint would be non-maintainable, a remarkable, bizarre ground is taken that anybody with that surname can go and complain. As if Rahul Gandhi said, all such surnames are thieves. It's just completely a distortion of what he said.
No, but you've also in the middle of this said that and pointed out that the magistrate changed in this interim. So I come back to my question: is there an illusion you're making here that there was some legal mischief?
No, I am putting the fact before you that somewhere in 2021, the earlier magistrate who had recorded the statement had changed, had been replaced by the current one. I'm only stating a fact.
Okay. So you are not saying that this adds up or amounts to anything?
No single swallow makes a summer. No single straw breaks the camel's back. But taken together, as I said, they are a deadly cocktail of unsustainable errors and more than errors. Conduct, which is very questionable. Legal errors, which are unsustainable.
Whose conduct is questionable?
Complainants and all those behind him. The nature of the complaint, the misreading, the distorted, one-sided reading of the sentence itself to make the complaint maintainable. Did I say anywhere that everybody with that surname is a thief, a crook, a rogue? And would that even maintain a complaint by anybody of that surname? I never said it.
The other aspect to this is the political ramifications. Now, you talked about so many individuals, entities giving advice to the Congress party. Obviously, the op-eds have already started coming, and some of them have come to the conclusion that this could be a good thing for the Congress and for Rahul Gandhi. The sympathy card is being played. It's a rallying point for the party to say that this man is being victimized. Is it working out that way? Is it turning into a political windfall?
First and foremost, people who give many people who give this unasked advice, and that includes supposedly eminent lawyers and journalists. Forget that. Howsoever much sympathy incarceration would get, the issue here is not incarceration at all. The learned judge who convicted him gave him a stay of sentence on the very day of conviction. And he still has more days to go before that period runs out. The issue is stay of conviction. They then secondly forget that without a stay of conviction, Rahul Gandhi, roughly through this incarceration process which they talk about, is out of parliament roughly for 8 years. Now, I'm sure the BJP would love that to happen. I'm sure some of those giving us unasked advice who are very much speaking for the BJP while pontificating about legal advice, or journalists who belong to a certain pre-stated camp, would love him to be disqualified for 8 years. Whether politically that's a sensible thing or not, I think it should be left to Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party to judge, not for people to advise us. Now, this is the point about not distinguishing between incarceration and disqualification. As far as sympathy is concerned, let me tell you, Tamanna, there is no doubt that there is a lot of support. Forget sympathy. Along with support comes sympathy naturally. Why? It's not because he's doing tactics about, conviction, sentence, 30 days, 20 days, 5 days. No. It's because people see a holistic picture. One, they see the outpouring of support during Bharat Jodo. Two, they see the kind of vituperative, fundamentally communal, disgusting statements issued from 2014 to 2023, far too many to recount to you, by different BJP persona, office bearers, general secretaries, MPs, MLAs, senior persons, without any action of any kind being taken. Any. Far, far more serious than Rahul Gandhi. Third, they read the statement as one sentence out of a 3-page odd transcript of a political speech with nothing of the sort ascribed to it, that everybody of that community is a thief. Nothing of the sort.
My
Fourth,
question is sure. My question is actually going beyond
all
just
this acts the sympathy and support. That's the reason. The reason is not that strategizing
is this going to be, no, I'm not saying that you're strategizing that he stays in jail so that it works for you. I'm saying willy-nilly, has this turned into a political opportunity for the Congress and in that sense for the opposition? You have support from opposition parties that weren't supporting you earlier on this one point. Is this going to be a pivotal point in the way Indian politics is moving ahead of the next general election?
That's a very important question. First of all, not entirely in a lighter vein. You should ask that question of Mr. Modi and his associates. Or perhaps we should thank Mr. Modi for achieving what, to some extent, we could not. Namely, a far greater convergence of opposition unity than existed before Mr. Modi and its government's one-sided biased actions. Secondly, I think everybody now realizes that you must recognize your differences. You come from state X, I come from state Y. There are bound to be differences for geographical, regional, local considerations. But they also realize that Mr. Modi only succeeds in elections with a maximum success rate of 39% of the vote. 39, which means 61% people vote against him. He only succeeds because of vote fragmentation. So the realization is growing, and that was seen in the floor leaders meeting at Mr. Kharge's residence, the dinner, unprecedented outpouring across the political spectrum. It is now being recognized that there are a large number of issues on which there should be convergence, despite local considerations varying. It would be hypocritical for anybody to say there are no local differences. Of course there are. But the larger issue of convergence is being recognized. And I think there is a legal coalition, as I said, that should be a precursor to a future political coalition. There is a clear convergence and coherence and consensus about the misuse of agencies issue, the corporate support for a particular group, the gagging and the strangulating of debate inside Parliament, the effect on free speech outside by misusing defamation laws, the misuse of privileges powers, and so on and so forth. These are larger issues on which you should see the kind of convergence there is, and whether you have to thank Mr. Modi for it or a very great initiative by the Congress and all the other opposition parties, that is something, but the result is the same. That may be a debatable issue, but the result is the same: convergence and consensus.
Are you concerned about the sort of pitfalls along the way, like we saw in the last couple of days with a statement made by Mr. Digvijay Singh, where he thanked a representative of the German government for a comment which said, we're waiting and watching and seeing what's happening with Mr. Rahul Gandhi's disqualification process. It gave an opportunity to the BJP to double down on his claim that foreign interference was being invited.
You rightly raised a much larger and a much more vital issue. This is something which is deliberately being used as a spoiler in the typical BJP way. This is just the thing which they said when he spoke abroad. As if when you go abroad, your Article 19(1)A rights are suspended. Now, as far as Digvijay Singhji's statement is concerned, why shouldn't there be any need to even raise it again or answer it? Because the party official spokesperson, official party response has been given to you from the podium. And that stands. You have to look at that stand. You don't have to look at Mr. Digvijay Singh's individual statement. He's entitled to his opinion because we do not gag in the same way as the BJP does. But that doesn't make it the party view.
Tell me about what's happening in Karnataka, Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi. That's the big one. Is this entire saga and what is happening with Rahul Gandhi's disqualification going to give fillip to your Karnataka campaign? You have said you're going to win more than 150 seats. Is that seeming likely, and what are the challenges there?
I have absolutely no doubt that we are winning Karnataka, and that absence of doubt was and is a few weeks and possibly a few months old. It is not related to this particular set of events well before the conviction. But yes, in any election, and with the media being what it is, 24/7 pervasive, the social media being what it is, everything goes into a melting hotspot. What was otherwise a inevitable and a certain victory in Karnataka, the degree and the margin might well increase, because this also goes into a hotspot. People see the conduct. People see the kind of statements being issued by the BJP, not from 2014, but even recently, including in Karnataka elections. And they say that, look, here is this one-sided treatment of Rahul Gandhi, who speaks with a straight bat and raises public interest issues. So the answer to your question is, what was in any case a certain victory, I would imagine that the margin should increase considerably by these kind of tactics by the BJP.
You know, your comment as we wrap up this interview, Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, on 2024. And I know we started by saying, yes, 8 days is not a very long time, but in politics sometimes it is. We're talking about nearly a year, a short of a year before the next election kicks in. Where do you think the Congress, the opposition and Rahul Gandhi are poised right now? Those in the BJP or supporting of the BJP says a Rahul versus Modi contest is exactly what they want. Is that what the Congress is going to pitch for again?
Look, what they want is not going to be our concern. What we all collectively want will be our concern. Collectively. I have a very straightforward, and I've spoken my mind on this right from Raipur. And let me answer this question by breaking up the answer in 3 or 4 points. But it's a very important question, so you'll have to give me a minute or 2 minutes. First and foremost, Tamanna, I think simple arithmetic tells you, without rocket science, without any genius level analysis, that if you are able to fight the coming Lok Sabha election, when there are effectively only 9 months, because elections really start from January, February, not in May. If you are to win these elections, or at least give Mr. Modi and his party the fright of their life, then it is only about prevention of vote fragmentation. That's point one. And unless and until we recognize it, nothing else matters. Number two, we equally have to understand that nobody is suggesting that everybody is agreeing. We have to agree to disagree on many issues. And having agreed to disagree on many issues, we have to put them aside and ensure that 90% of the balance 61% who votes against Mr. Modi, at his best performance, mind you, 90% of that or 85% of that is consolidated. The moment you do that, you will find a lot of tall claims of the BJP crumbling. Number three, the way to do it is to keep your egos aside and focus on one issue, not your next local election coming up, not your next local by-election coming up, on the 2024 May. Number four, you have to put aside this red rag and bogey, this red herring of who will be the Prime Minister. Who has said that you need to announce the Prime Minister today? Who has said that any party has said that, look, only I will be Prime Minister, only my nominee will be a Prime Minister? Nobody has said so, and nobody needs to say so. This is actually the BJP trap. And we are told, realize it in our speakings, in our sayings, in our rallies, and our actions. Number five, we should start coalescing and converging on every issue before the elections of 24, where such convergence is possible, where it is feasible, even though there may be differences in other issues. An excellent example is what I spoke about in Raipur, and which has come true. We have filed a petition about agency misuse coming up as early as the 5th of April in the Supreme Court, with a remarkable convergence of 14 political parties across the political spectrum. Many of those parties don't agree with each other on some issues. It doesn't mean they disagree on this issue or on many other issues where they also agree. That petition, whatever be its fate, it is not for me to comment on it in advance, is a remarkable example of legal convergence, and such convergences should be the precursor to political convergences. Now, these 6 or 7 points is the need of the hour, and there are tall leaders. Congress is in the lead, in the vanguard of this movement, the Congress president, the former president Rahul Gandhi, the former president Sonia Gandhi. But there are other parties who are tall leaders in this country. Sharad Pawar, one of the longest political innings. There are people in Bihar, Mr. Nitish Kumar.
Right.
There are people like Mr. Lalu Yadav. There are people in Karnataka. So I think, and despite differences, you cannot ignore states like Bengal with 40 odd seats. Mamata Banerjee is one of the most strongest agitational street leaders in politics. So all of them have to be brought on board. I can understand there will be some outliers. Even the outliers have to be pursued. Be it the Odisha, be it the Telangana, be it the Andhra Pradesh. They have to be pursued and they have to be brought on because there is a lot of sentiment against a lot of the issues which the BJP is misusing.
Okay, so the crux of the next 9 months or so in the run-up to 2024 is going to be on opposition unity from the opposition camp. Thank you so much, Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, for sitting down with us and speaking with us on the issue of the day and what next with Mr. Rahul Gandhi's disqualification. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.